Hello, everybody. Welcome to Cool Sports Guy. I'm Tom. Joining me today is Jared. How are you doing today, Jared?
Not super well. For those of you who don't know, last night my Boston Celtics lost in the finals. So
Yes.
congrats to the Warriors. I am a little upset. The one team I root for that's actually good still lost. So
Uh,
not ideal.
I don't know if you recall, but you actually had the Bears going 11 or is it 12-5 this season coming up?
It was not
So
no
it's
the
good.
I had the Vikings winning the division. I had the Bears winning like 9 games and sneaking into the playoffs.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. That's fair.
That was
But
also a while ago because I also had the Falcons in the playoffs, which that's not happening anymore with Mariota as quarterback. But
yeah, it was. We got to redo those picks. But first, we do need to continue our down the memory lane. So we did um, best 10 plays from the year 2000 all the way to 2009 in those 10 years each last week. And then this week we decided to do the same thing, except there's too many plays. So we decided to break it down into 5 years. So we're going to pick 10 picks each, and we're going to talk about our favorite. So this year, or this year, in this episode, we're going to do 2009 all the way to 2014. And we'll jump right into it if you're ready.
yeah, I guess so.
All right. All right. So let's get this guy on there. All right. So my very first one, I'm gonna be the one starting off here. Let's take a look. All right. So I actually went instead of a play.
Okay.
The correct thing is the best moments in NFL. So for me, it was the 2011 draft. I think the 2011 draft was just awesome because starting with what who you and I know that I'm not the biggest fan of, but MVP. So I got to give it to him there. Julio Jones, I know you love that guy, so do I. And Von Miller, Super Bowl MVP. All in here that I can for sure say that I feel bad for is Julio Jones and JJ Watt. They both deserve a Super Bowl ring in my opinion. They just unfortunately don't have it. So we'll see how this season shapes up for them. But I doubt they're winning it.
I actually really like that as a moment. If I think I've probably mentioned this at some point. This was actually the first draft I ever watched. I'm one of those weirdos who watch rounds 1 through 7 every year instead of like looking it up afterwards, which is the same thing. I watch every single pick, and it started in 2011 was the first year I watched the draft whatsoever. So Cam Newton's actually the first player I ever watched get drafted. But
Okay.
no, a lot of these guys are some of my favorite all-time players. I know you're not a big Cam guy. I love Cam Newton. Julio Jones is one of the most likable people in the NFL. Solid receiver. But actually, my favorite player out of this entire group is Patrick Peterson,
Okay.
which now he's on the
That's
Vikings,
fair.
so I kind of had to have a little hatred for him. But Patrick Peterson, like that was my first player I ever like. Going to the draft and like this guy is going to be an elite player. Like he is going to be amazing, and I was very much right. Like he's one of the best cornerbacks of the past century. He also has the same birthday as me, which is a pretty cool fun fact. But I'm a big Pat Pete fan. Also, I don't even think
Jared's
you mentioned Von Miller in that, but
I did. I accept Super Bowl MVP Von
uh,
Miller. Jared is the most non-biased person I know. Just picking
Pat,
somebody based on the. Just,
no, I liked Patrick. I didn't know he had my birthday until after he was already good in the NFL. Okay.
but yes, nonetheless, 2011 was a very good draft. But we'll move on to your number 10
So
cheerleaders.
this may seem very obscure if you don't know who that player is in the Falcons jersey. He's not known for being in a Falcons jersey, but that man right there is the greatest kick returner dash punt returner of all time, Devin Hester. Sadly, he didn't break the record for most return touchdowns in a Bears uniform. He actually broke it in a Falcons uniform, which is what this play was. Because he had went from Chicago, and I think it was Seattle and then Atlanta, and then I think he was on Baltimore for a little bit. But none of those really matter except for Atlanta on this one play because I think he only had like one return while with Atlanta, and it was this one to break the record. I remember watching this live. Obviously, I'm a big Devin Hester fan. Like Bears fans, we root for stupid stuff like kick returns because we don't actually win games. So I love Devin Hester, and watching him break the record, even though it wasn't in a Bears uniform, was a very very big moment for me.
Yeah, I remember watching this play. I want to say just a few weeks ago because I was just looking through a bunch of old NFL. I'm not gonna lie to get some ideas, but because this, I mean, let's face it, this was so long ago. There's like a handful that just sticks out to me, and of course, I have to try my best to not be Tom Brady biased. So I'm like looking for other awesome, moments in the NFL. And this did pop up, and I'm like, I bet Jared's gonna have it on there, so I'm just gonna leave it alone. And I'm glad I made that choice, even though we do have a few this week. That's unfortunately once again. Although last week we had I think 4 or 5. This week it's more like 3. So we're making
I
progress.
feel like that was because like the last week it was so long ago that like I assume we both Googled some ideas and found the same ideas and were like, hey, that's pretty good. So
it's all in my head. I don't know what you're talking about. All right, so moving on to my number 9 is actually, so you have a certain play put in here as the same pick. I have the entire game, or at least the fourth quarter of the game. It's
okay.
The Eagles come back against the Giants. I thought that was so. I mean, if you go back and watch this game, even if you just go back and watch the highlights of this game, it is such a ridiculously crazy game. I mean, the Eagles had no chance. They were down by 3 touchdowns midway through the fourth quarter, if I remember correctly, and it seemed like it was all said and done. Next thing there's a couple of stops, couple of fumbles, couple of touchdowns on the other side, and the game is you got just a few seconds left in the game, and then boom, boom, here comes a punt return. I think it was 60 some yards, and the craziest thing to me was he bobbled the ball. It actually hit the turf after hitting him, picked it up, and then ran with it. One of the most awesome comebacks I've ever seen. I think they were down by 21 or 23 points or something like that.
I want to say, I don't know off the top of my head exactly. I want to say the score was 31-10. Yeah, 31-10.
There it is. Yeah.
Which the game was tied at the time of this punt actually, and
yeah.
The Philadelphia has all the momentum. So to stop that from like a big play happening, there was like so little time that Tom Coughlin, the Giants head coach, told the punter, who I do not remember the punter's name, sadly. He told him, kick the ball out of bounds, like just we're going into overtime, whatnot. And the punter shanked the punt
and put it in
bounds. And Deshaun Jackson, one of the most electric players of at least my lifetime. It was such just an exciting play to watch because he bobbles it, like you said, and then you think like, oh, nothing's gonna happen, and then he just darts right up the middle past everybody, does a little taunting at the end and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, no, at that point you're just fully expecting the game to just go overtime. It's like, okay, the crazy comeback happened, game is tied. Giants were trying to get into field goal range and it just wasn't working. Or was it picked? Or did they have to? No, they punted. They couldn't convert third down. That's what happened. They were trying to originally actually throw the ball, couldn't convert, punted it, and then obviously wasn't picked because Deshaun, Jackson picked it up and ran with it. But everybody was just expecting the game to go overtime, see what happens at overtime. But next thing you know, this dude, he just took off. So it was pretty awesome. So let's move to your number 9.
I assume as a Brady fan like yourself, I assume you know what this play is.
Oh, I do.
Against my least favorite team, the Green Bay Packers, they do like a simple squib kick, thinking it's just gonna like not be returned. Then who knows? But offensive lineman Dan Connolly picks it up. He's a big dude, and he takes it from I want to say like his own like 35, 40 all the way to the 3-yard line. Like my man's booking it. I wanted him to score a touchdown,
dude,
so bad.
Yeah, the way he was going, I was just like, oh, you're almost there.
Barely got tripped up at the end. I'm going to point out a lot of my picks are very comedic plays, but, it adds a little fun to it. But this was just like an insane return. Like, Green Bay is a good team, and I feel like they've always kind of been a well-coached team as long as I've been watching them. And to allow an offensive lineman to return a kick to the 3 is absolutely outrageous. And like I said, I wish he didn't get tripped up at the very end because that would have made it even more of an iconic moment than it already is. I feel like it's very forgotten for how impressive it was for Dan Connolly.
Fun trivia. What was worse, the special teams for Green Bay during that game or the special teams for Green Bay in the divisional round last year? where they had 10 guys on the field.
I'd honestly go with the divisional game last year just for the fact I think the Packers had a good shot at a championship in their special team. I mean, I will also say Aaron Rodgers put up 10 points in a home playoff game.
Yeah,
So
but
it's not all in the special teams, but the special teams were very bad that game, and I think that was a big part to do with it.
I was very surprised. I do feel like it was one of those things that last season, at least from the NFC side, it was one of those things where when the Bucks played the Rams, in my head, hey, if the Bucks can get past the Rams, they were going to the Super Bowl, in my opinion, because that was the Bucks' biggest challenge was the Rams. I think the Packers' biggest challenge was actually the 49ers and not the Rams. I think if Packers would have gotten past the Rams, or I'm sorry, the 49ers and went up against the Rams, the Packers would have ended up in the Super Bowl. But that's just my opinion.
So.
It did. You can breathe. It didn't happen. You're right. All right. So let's see. So my number 8 is this one right here. So I don't care too much for Flacco, but you know what? I do love Ray Lewis, and this was his final year in the NFL. I believe it was 2012. They had a good run going. They actually ended the season 10-12. So it didn't, they got a home playoff game against the Colts, but after that, it was all on the road. But Joe Flacco is one of the few people, he might actually be the only guy who's able to say, hey, you know what? I beat Andrew Luck, Tom Brady, and Peyton Manning just to get to a Super Bowl and win it.
I'm going to point one thing out, though. You said they ended the season 10-12.
10-6. I'm sorry. I don't know why I said 10-12. 10-6.
Which
yes,
I also want to say that Super Bowl, I mean, there's obviously, you could say like most Super Bowls are like memorable, but I feel like that was a very memorable one. That was the blackout Super Bowl where like, I think it was coming
and 49ers started making a comeback.
It was a blowout up until the blackout, and then they came back, and then the 49ers came back and almost won it at the very end.
Well, because that Super Bowl, I think going into the third quarter, the Ravens already had a lead. On top of that, they either returned a punt or had a very early good play to where they actually scored another touchdown to go on top more. And then the blackout happened. And the next thing you know, 49ers are making a comeback. And then the game kind of came down to the wire. I will say Joe Flacco, I'm pretty sure he converted a fourth down at the very end. Not trying to give Joe Flacco all the credit. But listen, again, I made so much fun of that guy. I got to give him credit where credit's due. He has 117 passer rating throughout that entire playoff run, 11 touchdowns and 0 interceptions.
So. Yeah, Joe Flacco, I remember that was the whole big debate during that time was whether he was elite or not, which I think 99% of people said no, Joe Flacco is not elite. I say at that point at least, he was a serviceable quarterback who obviously could win you a Super Bowl, but I would never put the words elite and Joe Flacco in the same sentence. He did have a very good game, and obviously they won, but there was some crazy debates. Recency bias is insane because if just because you win a Super Bowl does not make you elite whatsoever.
I think 2011 until 2014, Joe Flacco was like, okay, this guy's good. And then that was it.
I would say good. I'll give him good. That is it. I'm not hating on Joe Flacco. He's just not an elite quarterback.
That's fair. He's not. Because if you put him in the elite level, then there's a lot of quarterbacks that got to put in the elite level. But it was like you said, it was a memorable Super Bowl. Ray Lewis got to go down with another second Super Bowl ring.
Ed Reed,
Ed Reed. Oh yeah.
I'm a big Ed Reed fan. He's my vote for best safety of all time. But
I've told you. I think it was on the show. I told you one time. I saw a clip of Bill Belichick talking about Ed Reed and how smart he is. It's
there's like pictures that have shown up from like Tom Brady whenever like he was on New England playing against Baltimore and Ed Reed, and like on his like quarterback like wristband thing with the plays, like it says watch out for 20 or whatever.
Yeah.
Ed Reed was that much of a difference maker. Like it was insane. Like if you didn't get to watch him like live, you do not get to comprehend how good of a player Ed Reed actually was.
don't quote me on this. I could be very wrong, but I think the Ravens are the team that Tom Brady has thrown the most amount of interceptions against.
I could very much believe that. I remember one game in particular. Again, we're getting kind of off topic, but there was I want to say it was either like a wild card or a divisional game with the Patriots and Baltimore, and like the Patriots were turning over the ball left and right. Like it was like the Patriots with Brady were very like disciplined. They didn't turn over the ball that often, but there was like turnover left and right. Like they shut down Tom Brady, which does not happen very often.
Well, this season, the 2012 season on the Super Bowl run, when they played the Patriots in the divisional round, they put up 13 points.
It could have been.
So I think that's the game you're talking about, yeah. But there's a lot of drops, and there's a lot of not just from Brady, but just the Patriots offense in general. There's so much like lack of discipline in that game. There's so many drops. There were so many I don't even know how to explain it. But yeah, there's a lot going on. But the defense, I guess, essentially did get in their head quite a bit, hold them to 13 points. So, and I mean, that's after the year before Brady had 5,000 plus yards and went to a freaking Super Bowl. So something to say there about that defense. But we'll move on to the next one until we keep going up top. You, buddy.
I think this one is pretty self-explanatory. Everyone who's watched football at that time period knows what this is. This is the Beastquake. It was, again, I think it was the wild card game, Seattle versus New Orleans. I don't remember the year off the top of my head. I know I should have this written down. But so basically, it's like a relatively close game throughout the entire game. Then the Seahawks are up. They're up one score and they get the ball back, and the Saints need a stop to, get the ball back and get back into the game. And Marshawn Lynch, it's just a simple run play. I mean, Marshawn Lynch is a very good running back and you expect him to get some yards, but you don't expect him to break 9 tackles on his way to the end zone, which this is actually the loudest play in NFL history. I don't know what the name of this.
Yeah, the decimator or whatever.
Yeah, that thing.
It's called. Yeah.
This is the loudest play of all time, which if I was I understand, if you're at this game, there's no way you're not screaming at the top of your lungs as you watch Marshawn Lynch break all these tackles. And the Saints are they're no slouch. They were a pretty good defense back then, super solid across the board. They had some solid players. It doesn't matter if he breaks 9 tackles on his way to the end zone like that. Again, I know I have this kind of low on the rankings, but this is a very, very iconic play, no doubt.
Yeah,
I think honestly it could be the most iconic.
It could be, and I'll say this: every single time I make this, or this is the second time I made this list, but both times I look at each play and I'm like, man, this can't be this low. It needs to be higher. But then I look at other plays and I'm like, so at the end of the day, I feel like by the time I get to one, I feel like usually once we go through the whole thing, you realize you made quite a few mistakes down the line. One should have been further ahead than the other one. But listen, you're picking 10 plays out of 5 seasons. I think it's okay. It doesn't matter where you put it. The fun fact, I have the same exact play, same exact picture also. So yeah, I mean, you said it all. I don't have anything to add other than to say the man ran 67 yards with that ball. Well, I think that play.
Marshawn Lynch was he was a very highly touted prospect coming into the NFL for Buffalo, and he doesn't have that great of a start to his career. Gets traded to Seattle, and then I feel like he had a solid year this year, but I feel like this play is kind of what started the whole beast mode thing.
Beast mode, yeah.
And showed that he was an elite level running back. And he had a lot of success with Seattle for that time frame. And I think all kind of started with this one play.
Well, this was 2010 wild card. 2013 is when they went to the Super Bowl, and then they went back to the Super Bowl in 2014. So that 4 or 5 year, I mean, literally the years we're talking about right here was definitely good ones for him.
If Pete Carroll was a good coach, they would have 2 Super Bowls. I still don't understand. He could have just realized that this play existed, remembered it, be like, oh, we're on the 1 yard line, let's give it to Marshawn Lynch. But
can I make one case for Pete Carroll real quick? Because
you can try, but
So I want to say a few things. One, I know this is a very small stat level, but Marshawn Lynch inside the 5 yard line was 1 for 4 that entire season. Marshawn Lynch, once he gets going, he can go. He can push anybody down off of him and keep running. But inside the 5 yard line, he was 1 for 4 that season. Two, they ran the ball on the play right before. Three, everybody's basically preparing for a run, and the next thing you know, you switch it up. You're gonna have Russell Wilson throw it. It's not like it's freaking like I don't know. Who's a bad quarterback? It's Russell Wilson throwing the football. It's
One thing I will add, like I love Russell Wilson.
Hold on, 4. Dude, that was such a great defensive play. It wasn't even a bad football throwing decision. It was just a really good play for that interception.
I will give Malcolm Butler his credit, but I will also say I love Russell Wilson. I'm going to preface this, but Russell Wilson's not exactly known to not turn the ball over.
Oh,
yeah. Russell Wilson is a great quarterback, but he also makes some of the dumbest decisions I've ever seen. Like he makes some like Daniel Jones level dumb decisions sometimes.
Correct.
Which I will say, yes, it was more so like a better defensive play than it was like a bad offensive play. But I feel like in that situation, if you are going to pass it, do some play action. Utilize Russell Wilson's legs. Do something like just a basic slant route over the middle where it's going to be clogged because they expect you to run the ball. Like that's just not the play call. Again, hindsight's 2020. Pete Carroll's obviously a very successful NFL coach. I'm not, so maybe I'm the dumb one.
Would you be saying it was a bad call if they would have caught that ball?
I guess technically no, because it wouldn't be as talked about as a dumb call. But I mean,
You're
yeah,
right.
the only way you can look at it. But I just feel like in the situation, it's not something I would have done. But like I said, Pete Carroll, he's an NFL coach for a reason, and I'm not. But I don't know. I feel like you got to utilize your quarterback's legs in that situation, not through a slant across the middle. That's just all I'm saying.
That's fine. I mean, there was multiple things they could have done differently than what they did, and like you said, hindsight 2020. But I just don't think it was. Yeah, I guess I don't want to do it right now. We'll keep moving. So next one is you. Ooh, I can't believe I missed that one. By the way,
you didn't put this on that.
Okay. I messed up.
I honestly, I'm gonna say this about this play. Everyone knows this play, the OBJ, the catch. I feel like this play kind of like, this is gonna sound insane. It kind of like discredits how good Odell Beckham is, because people are like, oh, Odell Beckham's not a good receiver. He's only good because of this one play, which isn't true whatsoever. You'd be surprised how many people I've seen have said that. I think it should be viewed as this just shows how good he is. Like watching this play again in person, I think it was a primetime game. I want to say it was like Sunday or Monday Night Football. He gets like held. It's a pass interference. It's called anyways. I've never like this is on par with like the David Tyree catch. Like this is an insane catch. I'm not the biggest OBJ fan. I think he's kind of a diva. But just from a pure talent and impressive play standpoint, like this is one of the best catches, if not the best catch I've ever seen.
This is definitely a more, from a talent perspective, a much bigger catch than the David Tyree catch. I don't even think it's close. I think David Tyree's significance is huge. That's why it's such a big thing. But he doesn't have a helmet. He's not holding, like he's just.
It's like 3 fingertips holding onto the ball. Like, I mean, Odell Beckham had like one of the, I think at the time it happened, which was 2014, 2015, something. It was like the best rookie receiver season like of all time, stats wise, which obviously has been surpassed by Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. LSU apparently just has the greatest wide receiver room in history. But like Odell Beckham, like this was in his rookie year. It kind of like showed how good of a player he was going to be. I know some players who aren't nearly as good make great plays all the time, but I feel like this was kind of like like kind of how the Beast Quake was for Marshawn Lynch, this kind of was for Odell Beckham, which kind of threw him into the spotlight, showed how great of a player he was going to be.
There is a chance if he wasn't hurt in the Super Bowl last year, he probably would have been the MVP. And even if you go back and look at the Bucks game, there was a sideline catch by him at like the 5-yard line. I don't remember exactly when it was, but I remember him catching that ball too. And it was one of those things where you're just like, did he catch that? It's just like, what the heck? Like, of course, OBJ would catch that.
Okay, I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna look like such a traitor. I love Cooper Kupp. He is probably my favorite receiver of all time, which I know is pretty bizarre because he hasn't been in the league that long. I love Cooper Kupp to death, but I think, like you said, if Odell Beckham stayed healthy the entire Super Bowl, he would have been Super Bowl MVP without a doubt in my mind.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I don't know who's hating on OBJ. I'm kind of hating myself for not having this picture up as one of my picks either. So we're just gonna go ahead and move on to the next one. It's me. Yeah. So I have a Marion Manningham cat, or here's the thing. That's what most people call it. I'm just gonna call it the Eli Manning throw. That's why I have a picture of Eli Manning throwing this football. Here's the thing. As iconic as that catch is, because it also, just like the helmet catch, came in a very critical stage in the game where they needed to go down the field and try to go score. And it was late in the fourth quarter. I think there was like 3 minutes left. It was 1st and 10 at the Giants' 12-yard line. And you're thinking, man, get a stop and you're good. And that catch was amazing on the sideline. I'm not trying to take anything away from the catch, but I do want to point out the throw. This is probably one of the most accurate long distance throws in any Super Bowl ever. Manningham was double on it. There's 2 guys covering him. It was a 33-yard pass, and he didn't just throw the ball accurately straight down the middle. No, he tossed that thing up in the air, and it came down like a rocket into his hands. I don't know if you recall the play at all.
Oh, I remember the entire play.
Play the video. I think that the significance of the throw is much higher. Like the degree of difficulty of making that throw was a heck of a lot harder than catching that ball. In my opinion, it was a hard catch, but that throw was on the money. If he could have been off by about, I think, half of a yard, and that probably would have been an incomplete pass. That's how close that thing was. He just dropped it in the bucket.
I know how, like, last week we had talked about, like, the Santonio Holmes, like, touchdown in the Super Bowl against the Cardinals, how Big Ben put that, like, in the perfect spot. I feel like in comparison to this throw, it's not even close. Like, this is, again, I know whenever you take into account that it's in the Super Bowl, it makes it just, like, that much more important. So you kind of put that above anything else. But I feel like that this may be, like, you could definitely make a case for this being the best throw of all time. Just how perfect it was. Like, there was multiple defenders around Manningham right in the breadbasket. Like, the placement on that ball is insane. And I feel like overall it was just a lot harder of a throw than the one that Big Ben made.
It's and I don't try to mean to get super technical here, but just to put it in perspective, so as a person who loves to throw and catch footballs all day long, you can give me something to just do all day long, I would do that all day long. The throw, and like you said, like the Big Ben throw in the end zone, as accurate as it was a throw that was great. So there is no end, or there is an end eventually where that ball's going to end up if that ball isn't caught. The throw from Eli Manning to Marion Manningham, if Manningham doesn't catch the ball, that ball's probably going to land on his feet. I think that's the accuracy difference between these two. The fact that it went up and then came back down into his hands. All he had to do was literally put up his hands, and he was just able to catch it. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I loved it. I loved everything about that throw. I mean, actually, I didn't love everything about that throw because you know who I was going for in that game. But yes.
I will add I'll ask one more thing. So I know how I said Joe Flacco is not elite because he won a Super Bowl. There's always been the thing is like whether Eli Manning is a Hall of Famer. I know the 2 Super Bowls is like a big credit to why he should be for most people. I personally think Eli Manning is a Hall of Famer without a doubt. I know he wasn't ever like the best quarterback in the league when he played, but I feel like just how much of a winner he was and how underrated he was as a quarterback, I would say he's a Hall of Famer.
So I think he's a Hall of Famer, and here's why. If, let's say, the greatest quarterback in history, right, Tom Brady, right now decides to play the next 4 years. And for the next 4 years, he goes out there and decline every single year and playing like absolute crap. Does that take him out of the Hall of Fame?
No.
He's already cemented it. He's already in the Hall of Fame, right? I think Eli's the same way. If you look at the from about 2000, when did he come in? 2004, right?
Yeah.
He came into the league. So if you just take 2005 all the way to, I guess, 2013, or however you want to look at it, in that, like, because I think that's a pretty good, okay time frame, right? Like 7 years is a pretty solid year frame to look at it. What he's done with that, his 7 years, been to 2 Super Bowls, beat Brady twice in both Super Bowls. He was the Super Bowl MVP one of those times, right? Or was it both?
I want to say it was both. I could be wrong though.
Either way, you took your team in 7 years. You took your team to 2 Super Bowls, won it, been to playoffs more times than that. And if he would have just called it quits in 2013, we will not be having this discussion, right? Like in 2013, if I were to say, "Hey, Eli Manning is retiring," is he a Hall of Fame quarterback? Like, yeah, he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. Look at his record. Look at the way he's played. Look at how much he's done. He ended his career at 500 for win-loss. But I think a lot of that 500 has so much to do with his final 3 or 4 years. The whole reason we're having this debate is because he stayed in the league too long, if anything. That's
I could see that. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Should have been a lawyer, but here I am. But we'll move on to your next one. I don't even know what number we're on, but we're just going to go down the list. So, oh, hey, look at that.
I didn't realize it was back to back on this one as well. But yeah, we kind of talked about everything that needs to be talked about. This one just gives you like a picture.
Catch.
But like I think this, like, don't get me wrong, I liked how your picture was talking about the throw more than the catch. But this kind of adds the other side of it. You can, based on this picture alone, you can see how perfect that ball is. He's like tiptoeing on the sideline, like it was insane.
And just for references, if anybody's never seen an actual footage of this, the hand is right there. The ball came from here. I just want to point that out. It literally just came from here into his hands. That's it. Sorry, I'll stop cutting you off.
No, you're good. That
was good.
Like, I'm getting like weirdly just smiley thinking about this play, even though it was forever ago and it has nothing to do with me anymore. But it was just it was one of those like all-time great NFL plays that you're going to remember for a very long time.
Yep. All right, moving on. So I personally love this because as much as Julian Edelman is one of my favorite receivers to ever watch play. This came. Do you remember this game? Do you know where this is?
Based off this picture, no. When you tell me, I'm going to remember.
Play actually happened against the Ravens in 2014.
I remember this play now.
I think in the divisional round, is the Patriots were down by 7 points in the third quarter. They went down 14 points. They went down to the field, scored, made the game 21-28, and the next thing you know, they were down 7, got the ball, and then Edelman gets a call. Brady passes to Edelman. Edelman throws a pretty sweet pass to Amendola. Given Amendola was wide open, don't get me wrong, but the play call was awesome. Execution was great. He put it on the money, and next thing you know, 51-yard touchdown. That's the same year they went on to continue to obviously go beat the Colts and then went to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl. So I absolutely love this play. I don't think I can talk about this play as long as I did the Mario Manningham catch one. So maybe I should have flipped these 2 picks. but yeah, I love it.
See, as you know, I'm a sucker for receivers throwing the ball. I always have been. Last week I think I probably said that at least 30 times throughout the episode. I'm a sucker for it. I love it. I completely forgot that this play existed. I'm not gonna lie, but it's definitely a great one. Like I said, when just based off the picture, I did not remember exactly, but as soon as you said Ravens, I knew exactly what the play was.
Can I say something controversial real quick?
Yes.
So everybody thinks, well, greatest receivers Brady played with is probably Moss and Walker, right? And that was in 2007, record breaking. But man, I like this duo so much. Amendola and Edelman. It was the same. I mean, it was them two also in the Super Bowl against the Falcons. Well, he also had Chris Hogan. That's another guy that I loved.
You know
play
Tom Brady
him.
loves his white receivers.
His what?
His white receivers.
His white
always been a Patriots thing. They always just have a bunch of white dudes no one's ever heard of.
They get it done.
Receivers.
And then they go somewhere else, and it's just like, bro, this guy sucks.
How Hunter Renfrow didn't end up on the Patriots, I'll never know.
You're asking the wrong guy, buddy. I don't know. All right, so let's move on to oof. Okay. Richard Sherman. That's you. That's not me.
I know.
Staring at the picture.
So, I know we don't really curse on this, but if I liked the press conference afterwards almost as much as I liked the play. This was the playoff game, very close game. The 49ers have a chance to take the lead in the back of the end zone. And Richard Sherman, who at the time, is probably the best cornerback in football, he doesn't actually get the pick here. He just tips it to, I believe, Malcolm Smith or KJ Wright. I don't remember which one of the two gets the pick. But he tips it to his teammate who gets the interception and they win. And he goes on to the interview that says, this is what happens when you put excuse my language here, a sorry-ass receiver like Crabtree. And I feel like it's iconic. I love Michael Crabtree, honestly. Like, I liked him on San Francisco. And, like I said, my stepdad is a Raiders fan, so I saw him in his time in Oakland a lot. I like Michael Crabtree, but I think it was just so funny because Richard Sherman he's a big trash talker. I love trash talk. And I feel like him doing it in the press conference, for one, is petty as
you
crap.
Mad, bro?
But for number two, I feel like it was just hilarious, and it's a very iconic moment. And this was like, in this time period, watching the Seahawks was one of the most fun teams to watch because of the Legion of Boom alone. And Michael Crabtree is a very underrated receiver, in my opinion. I don't think he was ever like elite, but he was definitely a great receiver. And Richard Sherman basically shuts him down here and seals the game.
Yeah, Richard Sherman is definitely a trash talker. Man, you forget the press conferences. There's games, if you're paying enough attention, you can, once he makes a play, you'll see him run to the camera and say something stupid on it.
I don't know if you saw this because I think this is like a newer development. He's actually going and he's leaving the door open for an NFL return, but he's actually signed on to, I think, be the announcer for Thursday Night Football for Amazon Prime.
Yeah, awesome.
I think it's going to be interesting for to say the least.
It will be. So this next pick of mine, I originally, when I was going through all my picks, my number 10 was something just to annoy you, and it was a last minute pass from Rodgers to I think Cobb against the Bears in one of the games. I don't know if you remember. The game was 28-27, and the Packers was behind, and it was late in the fourth quarter. But I didn't put that in there because I went through more picks and I eliminated that one. So just this next
I hate
one
that
is,
play.
This next one is for you. It's actually the Packers messing up against.
I don't think I put this play, and I don't know how I forgot this play.
So I don't even have. I just have a picture of the play, but I want to talk about the game.
End of the game, yes.
This game was so ridiculous. I mean, I know you're not the biggest Green Bay fan, but I really, really like Aaron Rodgers. At least, I mean, recently a little less than I used to, but I've definitely loved watching Aaron Rodgers play. I loved watching Tom Brady play. When this game was going on, I believe the Patriots had already won the AFC Championship game, and they were going to the Super Bowl. Or I was just extremely confident that the Colts don't stand a chance against the Patriots, and I just knew the Patriots were going to end up in the Super Bowl. Either or. So I was hoping to see a Brady Rodgers Super Bowl, and Packers went up 16-0 in this game at halftime against the Seahawks, and I'm like, dude, they just got to keep the pace. They just got to not give up too many big things. They just got to keep playing. They got this. Third quarter comes around, mistakes are made. There was a lot of turnovers in this game. I think Russell Wilson threw like 3 interceptions in this game, maybe 4, maybe 3. I don't know, one of those. Aaron Rodgers turned the ball around. There's receivers that fumbled, or running backs that fumbled the football. All kinds of stuff and it was all kinds of craziness going on. The last 7 minutes of this entire football game, I think there was 3 or 4 total combined scores. But nonetheless, 2 minutes and 9 seconds remaining. I think I wrote it down. Yeah, 2:09 left. The score was 19-14, which, by the way, the Packers, who was 16-0 leading at halftime, put up 3 more points when there's 2 minutes and 9 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Seahawks have 1 timeout. Seahawks just scored. They they're a 14-19, down by 5. They have 1 timeout. They go for the onside kick. If Brandon Bostic holds on to that football, Packers are in the Super Bowl. It's that simple. If Brandon Bostic just holds on to that football, Packers are in the Super Bowl. But what happens? He botches that, and then Seahawks gets the ball. They get a touchdown. Somewhere in between, the Seahawks also convert. Oh, they converted it. They got a touchdown, converted a 2-point conversion to get them to 14 points. Get the onside kick, get the ball, go score, and then get another 2-point conversion to make it an 8-point game. Or sorry, a 3-point game. Rodgers go back and put 3 points up. Game goes overtime. Seahawks get the ball, and Rodgers never touches the ball again. It was one of the craziest things.
One of the Seahawks scores in this game, I don't remember. It was very late. I think it was at the end of the fourth quarter. They did the fake field goal and threw it to the offensive lineman in the end zone.
Yeah, I think that was the second touchdown. So it was either their very first or second touchdown, because I think the game, they had 2 field goals kicked. So it was 19-6, and then they were going to kick a field goal again, and then they faked it, ran it to the left. The kicker threw it, got a touchdown, and then they got the 2-point conversion to make it 14-19, and then they did the onside kick. It was all kinds of craziness, and it's just like, if any one of these things didn't work for the Seahawks, they're not making it to that Super Bowl.
See, sometimes it makes you think, like, maybe Aaron Rodgers doesn't choke in the playoffs. He's literally just cursed.
Here's the thing. I used to believe he was just cursed in the playoffs, but now I'm starting to believe that he does also choke in the playoffs. There's no reason for you to only have 3 points in almost 2 quarters. That's unacceptable.
Also,
right?
they should have beat the 49ers last year, but he threw it into like triple coverage for Devontae Adams instead of the wide open.
The only thing
I don't remember who it was. But
the only thing I will give, I feel the most bad for Rodgers is actually, which I know you for sure don't, because against Cardinals. But when he threw 2 back-to-back Hail Marys against the Cardinals to tie up the game, and then he never touched the football in overtime. So it's the second time in overtime in the playoffs, he doesn't see the ball. Next thing you know, the other team scores and it's done. So in that way, I do feel a little bad for him, especially this game.
I don't know if you know this. This is kind of off topic and a little too into the personal life of Aaron Rodgers, but he was engaged to I don't know how to pronounce it, Shailene Woodley.
Yeah.
Well, they broke up, and now he's dating this girl. I don't know what she goes by, but she's like a witch or something. I don't know if he's trying to cast a spell to get him some luck in the playoffs. I don't know what he's going for.
If it works, it's going to convert a lot of people. Let me tell you. But, we got 15 minutes, so we got to get through these. So we'll move to your next pick. We each got 3 more picks, or you have 4. Yeah, I have 3.
So yeah, I'll kind of go a little fast on here. This one, R.I.P. Demaryius Thomas, very very great receiver in his time. This was the wild card game with against Pittsburgh, obviously, as you can see the picture with Tim Tebow at quarterback. Actually, it was obviously a close game because he went into overtime, and this was like one of the first plays, if not the first play in overtime, was a slant to Demaryius Thomas. And as soon as he caught it, he just took off, outran every single player on the Steelers defense, like untouched all the way to the end zone. I feel like this was the time period where everyone thought Tim Tebow was just a great quarterback because he kept winning. And I think it more so proves that winning is not a quarterback stat because Tim Tebow won a lot of games, but Tim Tebow is not a good quarterback and never was a good quarterback. In college, I'll say maybe he was, but in the NFL, Tim Tebow was not a good quarterback. Demaryius Thomas, on the other hand, great receiver. Loved watching him play. This is one of the most iconic plays of that time period.
Fair enough. Yeah, I do remember this game. This was a wild card game, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And then they lost the next week.
Yeah.
Who did they lose to? Oh, it was the Patriots. They lost to the Patriots. They got their butt beat by the Patriots
because Tim Tebow is not a good quarterback.
It's not the Tim Tebow. No. Who was coaching them? Josh McDaniels was going up against his mentor, Belichick.
Yeah, but I feel like Tim Tebow is basically Taysom Hill, and if anyone can shut him down, it's Belichick. Like he's going against a not quarterback playing quarterback, but
that's fair. So my next one, this is a little personal. This is one of my favorite quarterbacks to ever play the game, and this particular record in the order has still not been beaten. And a part of me hope it stays that way. That's not true. Records are meant to be beaten, but you know what?
Okay.
Peyton Manning, 2013, 2011 or end of 2011, the Colts release him. Right, he has a neck surgery. I don't know if you know this. The contract he actually wrote with the Broncos was a contingency on if he's going to pass his physical. In 2012, if he didn't pass physical, they didn't have to pay him for 2012, and they didn't have to extend the contract after 2013 if he didn't pass a physical or was able to play. The doctors had told Peyton Manning that he was probably never going to be able to throw a football ever again. And if they do a surgery, it was a very high-risk surgery. And he went through with it anyway, did the surgery, signed with the Broncos, came back, passed his physical, played 2012, actually got all the way to the AFC Championship game, I believe. But, man, 2013, as badly as that season ended for the guy, this was the year where Manning proved that he just built it. Threw for 5,400 yards, 55 touchdowns, and it was just
the greatest quarterback season of all time. Like, I remember when the Colts released Peyton Manning, that was one of the most bizarre things because I remember when Kirk Cousins hit free agency from Washington, people were like, "Oh my God, a quarterback this good never hits free agency." Well, think about how
it was the injury.
6 years. I know it's because of the injury, but 6 years before that, it's still Peyton Manning. It was the most probably talked about free agent of all time. I remember, I was very young when this happened. I'm not going to say my age because I don't want to make you feel old, but I was very young, and I remember waking up before school every day and going on the NFL app and refreshing all day, every day, trying to see when he would sign. And again, my stepdad is a Raiders fan, and whenever we found out that he was going to Denver, I mean, the Raiders had no hope of a playoff shot anyways, but the fact that they had Peyton Manning now in the division was like a nail in the coffin.
You know what makes me upset, considering that I'm from Houston, is that the Houston Texans said that we're just going to stick with Matt Schaub. They had the opportunity to go snatch this guy, and they didn't. They stuck with Matt Schaub. Jared, we got J.J. Watt in 2011. We had one of the best defenses in 2012, 13, and 14.
Yeah, they probably would have won a Super Bowl without a doubt.
Yeah. We made it to the divisional round with freaking Matt Schaub. Of course, we would have won a Super Bowl with Peyton Manning, but that's neither here nor there. But, not much you can do about it now. But, yes, Peyton, one of the greatest to ever do it. Very happy for the fact that I know Patrick Mahomes recently did he hit 55 or he hit 50?
He hit
he's
50. I don't think he got to
well,
55. He was really
he
close.
is now I think the second quarterback to have 5,000 plus yards and 50 touchdowns in the same season. So these two are the only ones to share that. But Peyton Manning has 55 TDs and 5,400 yards. So it's there for him. We don't know who's going to break it. We'll never know until it happens, I guess. But Peyton, great job, buddy. Move on before our time runs out on us. There's your boy, Larry Fitzgerald.
Okay, I know we're short on time, so I won't rant too much. But how you said the whole back-to-back Hail Marys, they didn't get to touch the ball in overtime. This was actually that game. So the Cardinals, get the ball first in overtime. Basically, it was like 2 plays. They get the ball. Carson Palmer, which sounds insane. I forget that he was on the Cardinals sometimes. Carson Palmer, rolls out of the pocket and just kind of lobs it up to Larry Fitzgerald, which Larry Fitzgerald is not a very fast dude. But he catches it like on the sideline, cuts through the middle, and just somehow outruns basically everyone on the Packers defense, and then gets stopped at like the 5 and within the 5. And after that, basically one more play, Carson Palmer snaps it, and it's one of those like receivers where he cuts in front of the quarterback and they just kind of like shovel pass to him and dives into the end zone, ending the Packers' playoff hopes that year. Which I remember watching this game. I'm a big Larry Fitzgerald fan. I know I said Cooper Kupp's my favorite receiver of all time. Larry Fitzgerald's up there, probably number 2. Big Larry guy. At the time, he was my favorite receiver because Cooper Kupp didn't exist in the NFL. But watching one of my favorite players in the league destroy my arch nemesis, it doesn't get better than that. I know it's not my number 1, but it's probably my favorite, based just solely on the fact that it was against the Packers.
You're right. We don't have a lot of time, and we both have at least 2 picks left, so we're gonna have to hurry up and go through these real quick. But I do want to point out one quick thing. It's okay, but you messed up. Wrong era. We're doing 09 to 14. This happened in 2015 wild card, divisional round.
No, hey, listen, we did 2010 to 2015.
No, because we did 2000 to 2009 last time.
It was the 2009. It was the 2009 season. This is the 2014 season. It's just in.
No, this is the 2015 season.
Are you positive?
How did Rodgers lose to Cardinals and the Seahawks in the same playoffs, man?
Listen. I may have messed up, but it's fine.
That's what I said. It's fine, but we have less than 7 minutes, so let's get a move on. One of my all-time, like I just told you, I love Julian Edelman, so one of my all-time favorite plays is actually probably this is going to sound controversial. I like this play better than his crazy catch against Atlanta in the Super Bowl. This is a 3rd and 14. So this is actually the Super Bowl against Seattle in 2014. Patriots were down by 2 scores at the time. It was the 4th quarter, 10 minutes remaining. They have to go score touchdowns at this point. And there was a 3rd and 14 because Brady got sacked on 2nd down. And it was one of those, hey, if you don't convert this might take away your chances of winning the game altogether. And play broke out. Look for guys. Something opens up. Brady steps up in the pocket and shoots a 20-yard pass straight into the chest of Edelman. The crazy thing to me about this catch is the fact that not that he caught it, but the fact that he held onto it. You see Cam Chancellor right there in the picture. Cam Chancellor hit him head on straight from his side so hard that his entire body, as you can see, bent down and his elbow hit the ground. Not his knee, not his nothing. His body bent so much from that hard of a hit that his elbow hit the ground. But not only did he hold on to the ball, this dude didn't even realize his elbow hit the ground. He got up and he started running with it. Listen, this is personal because I had like $350 on this game when this was going on. And I was standing there and I was watching this and I was going crazy because I'm like, I know Brady lost the last 2 Super Bowls, but I know Brady. I know he knows how to come back. They got to come back and win the game somehow. And this play happened and it was such a momentum shifter, at least for me, when it happened, I was like, okay, yeah, this is happening, and it happened. So it's, I don't know if you recall this play at all, but
Not off the top of my head, but obviously this is more meaningful for you than it is for me, as you being a Brady dash Pats fan at the time.
element. But but we'll move on to yours. That's your number 2.
Nothing else but the butt fumble. Again, I love this play. Comedic plays crack me up. Also I will point out this is future Chicago Bear Mark Sanchez. I feel like you can't really say anything else about this play other than he ran into a guy's butt and fumbled the ball, which was then picked up and returned for a touchdown. Hilarious. I don't even know what
There's not a single play in NFL history that I can look and tell you what happened. He literally he turned back around, and ran into someone's butt.
Like, it's very hard unless you see the play, it's very hard to kind of explain what was going through his head. Like, he tried running up the middle and just ran into his lineman's butt and fumbled the ball and fell over. Like, it seems like
go to the right or left or slow down. Like, he's just went for it.
It seems like something that would happen in Pee Wee football, not the NFL. So, but I love Mark Sanchez, the Sanchez as he's known. But
maybe he had his fingers crossed and he had his eyes closed and he was hoping he was just going to run right down the middle for a first down, and just didn't realize that there's going to be a lineman butt in his way.
Such a good play.
Well, we'll move on. There's really not much to say about this one, right? Although I'm very, I don't know. I have questions about the fact that this is your second best.
It's hilarious. One. That's
why. So mine is in the same game as I just talked about. It's the Malcolm Butler interception. This was one of the craziest moments in NFL history to me, not only because of what happened when it happened in the game. Super Bowl, 20 seconds left. Seahawks are at the 1-yard line. They are down by 4. They just need a touchdown. Let's face it, Patriots are not going to go down the field and score in 20 seconds. Of course, we already talked about this. Malcolm Butler get the interception. It's crazy because this turned so much things for Tom Brady as well. Tom Brady at the time, I think people look at the Falcons Super Bowl and say this is a game that Tom Brady became the GOAT. To me, this is the game. The 2014 Super Bowl is when Tom Brady established himself as the GOAT to me, because he has now tied with Joe Montana for the most amount of Super Bowl rings, but he has been to 2 more Super Bowls. He's been unlucky in 2 of them. He had, at the time, the greatest comeback, fourth quarter comeback in Super Bowl history, 10 points against the Legion of Boom, went on 2 back-to-back touchdown drives, and then the most unlucky play in his favor happens, the Kershaw catch, or Jermaine Kearse catch, and then 2 plays later, boom, interception, changed the perspective, the narrative on Brady's career. One of the craziest moments in NFL history. We're definitely going for an hour, unfortunately, but whatever. So...
I mean, I could keep it super short if you want. We can.
No, it's fine. It's 30 seconds away. We still have a pick for you, so now lay it on me.
Okay, so for my number 1, if you want to move the picture over.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were gonna say something about this one.
is the same as Tom's. I think it was your 9 or 8 or something like that. Is the Miracle at the Meadowlands Part 2. I think we kind of talked about it for the most part, which kind of sucks because we're getting right over the hour mark, which for those of you who don't know, we kind of try to keep it under that for technical reasons. But it's just an iconic play. I kind of ranted about it whenever he made the pick earlier, so I don't really have that much more to add to it. It is my number 1 play just because when I was making this list, I did Google some of them for the latter half of them, but for the top part, I just went off ones off the top of my head that I just remember being iconic, and this is the first one that popped into my head. And so therefore it was my number one because it's the most memorable for me because I remembered it more than anything else.
Yeah, and honorable mention, real quick. I just want to say one of the other memorable plays that I want to mention is what I just told you was the Jermaine Kearse catch. We talked about it on the last week when we were talking about one of the craziest catches in Super Bowl history. But that ball was tipped. He fell to the ground. It hit his left leg, right leg, and one arm, but never the ground before he caught that ball. I probably should have added that in here too and taken one of the.
I mean, I should have had that over the Larry Fitzgerald one that wasn't in this era. So
there you go. But hey, man, if you really, really want to, you can put the Larry Fitzgerald one in the next one we do, which is actually going to be 2015 to 2019.
I don't know how I didn't realize that when I made it, but
yeah. Well, it's funny because obviously I'm the one who put the slides together once you sent me the picture, and I didn't catch it either. I thought, but so many more Larry Fitzgerald moments than I do. I figured he just had another crazy play against the Packers. So
I feel like I looked it up to make sure, and I don't know. We're gonna say I goofed on that one. It's just a sneak peek to next week. So.
If there is a correction, it will be addressed in the next podcast. But I mean, that's it. I love doing these, so hopefully we can come back and do the next 5 years, and I'll have I got fair warning. I'm gonna have more Tom Brady in there because between 2015 and 2019, that man's done some crazy stuff. So.
Well, you better watch out. The Bears had one winning season, so
that's about right.
All 10 of my moments are going to be the 2018 Bears.
Including the missed field goal by Cody Parkey?
Okay, we don't talk about that. That didn't happen. It doesn't exist.
We don't talk about Bruno, right? All right. Well, do you have anything else to add before we call it a day?
I do not. We don't talk about the Cody Parkey kick, but other than that, I think we're good. I'm kind of excited for next week. This series has slowly turned into my favorite one to record.
Yeah,
just
same.
Trips down memory lane is always exciting.
Absolutely. Well, anyone who's joined and watched us, thank you so much for joining. Catch us again next week with our obviously 20 total picks, assuming that we don't have any of the same picks. 2015 all the way to 2019. But until then, thank you very much, Jared. Have a great night.
Have a good one.